right, good morning. Welcome to Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moro. It's always a pleasure coming your way here on Inside Pages. We say it as it is. Here on Inside Pages, we raise the issues that matter to you, the viewer who's watching us this morning. Now, on Inside Pages this morning, we have two very, very, very important conversations to have. The first is what many political watchers have described as being very strange and being very odd, and even thinking that perhaps there's more to it. Can you believe that the former special prosecutor, a private legal practitioner, Martin Amidou, says that he wants his successor, Kesi Ejabing, of course, the special prosecutor as we speak, he wants him out of that office. He states 6 grounds upon which he wants the man to be out. In fact, as we speak, he's actually petitioned the president. The president has forwarded the petition to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice has written to Kesi Ejabing for some preliminary comments on the allegations that have been made against him. We'll share the details, not everything, but we'll just give you an idea of the grounds upon which the Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser Amidou believes that a special prosecutor is not fit for purpose. He should be out. We'll share some of those details with you. But anti-corruption crusaders are reading all kinds of meanings into why Martin Amidou will do what he's doing. Is it not some kind of a personal vendetta? Or there's actually a story behind the story, why Martin Amidou is doing what he's doing. We'll try and explore the possible theoretical explanations as to why Martin Amidou is doing what he's doing. So that's our first topic for today. But have you also observed that the Cedi is again in free fall? The Cedi this morning, it's selling at 15 cedis to the dollar. That's where we find ourselves. In January sometime, it was about 11 cedis to the dollar. It's now 15 cedis to the dollar. Of course, per our own calculations, the Cedi has lost value up to about 20-something, about 21% or so. It's very serious. Now, we want to find out what is accounting for the latest slump or the latest woes or the sliding of the Cedi, and how that affects you and I, our pockets. And, of course, more importantly, the businesses, how they're dealing with this and how this is impacting their businesses. So, Guta will be joining us to tell us about how this is really, really and adversely affecting their business. So these are the two key issues for this morning. Stay tuned in. When I come back, I'll tell you who will be joining me this morning for this what promises to be a very riveting, a very, very interesting and a very insightful conversation. Just stay with us.
Investigation became cross-border and transboundary upon the claim by persons of interest that part of the seized cash sums was transported into the jurisdiction from the United States. For that reason, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, of the United States became involved in a collaborative investigative work with the OSP on the matter. Investigation has been largely aimed at determining the sources of the large cash sums. Members of the press, we have had the benefit of 5 months of investigation, and the circumstances of the case are clearer to us. The investigation appears to show that parts of the case are in the province of money laundering and structuring. OSP does not have a direct mandate in respect of money laundering. Therefore, the office will be inviting in law enforcement agencies that have a direct money laundering mandate for collaborative work in respect of those parts of the case. And as we also await the outcome of the FBI investigation in the United States.
We were just doing, to answer you seriously, we were doing our job of searching premises. And that's what happened. And then, before the end of the day, the same media were throwing about all manner of figures when we hadn't stated any figure we are seeing there. So, did we give the media those figures? We were not ready yet to come out with what we were doing because it was still at the preliminary stage. So to tell us that we were driven by by public sentiment. It was most unfair.
The duty and mandate of the courts is to apply and enforce the laws of the Republic, and not to grant persons immunity from criminal investigations and prosecution. A court cannot injunct the OSP from investigating or prosecuting any person. The decision to investigate and prosecute lies with the investigation and prosecution authorities, such as the OSP. And the OSP has at all material times carried out its power to investigate with candor and professionalism, being minded of the rights of suspects under its investigation. Members of the press, just as it is essential that anyone accused of a crime should have free access to the courts so that he may be duly acquitted if found not guilty of the offense with which he or she is charged, it is also of the utmost importance that the judiciary should not interfere with investigation and prosecution authorities in respect of matters which are within their statutory powers. It will be gravely inimical to public policy, the fight against corruption, and the administration of justice if the court stepped into this arena to decide who should be investigated, who should be prosecuted, and who should not. That is not the function of adjudication. The danger of this startling decision is again quite obvious. A judge has in the process granted 2 persons immunity from investigation, and in effect, immunity from prosecution. This decision opens up a calamitous deluge, as every person under criminal investigation will be encouraged to take out suits to injunct investigation and prosecution bodies from investigating and prosecuting them. Indeed, there is a live case involving the OSP now, in which someone has taken the cue to seek to injunct the OSP from investigating them. The real and present danger looms largely on the consideration that by so doing, persons under investigation would end up conscripting the judiciary to clothe them with immunity from investigation and prosecution. Members of the press, I do not intend to sound as though I am predicting doom, but we are facing doom. I do not intend to sound as though I am predicting doom, but we are facing doom. There appears to be a developing trend of rather regressive and dismissive judicial decisions in respect of cases involving the OSP, with troubling consequences. And it seems to us that a careful examination of these outcomes portends a disturbing specter that the fight against corruption is being hampered to the disbenefit of us all. For a public officer to have such large cash sums stashed in their homes, and that the circumstances of the case dictated pause and reflection, and the granting of the OSP adequate time to carry out its investigation. In our estimation, the judge was only interested in the return of the money to the person of interest and nothing more. Then he proceeded to erect non-existent legal barriers to prevent the OSP from investigating the matter. It is also of the utmost importance that the judiciary should not interfere with investigation and prosecution authorities in respect of matters which are within their statutory powers. It will be gravely inimical to public policy, the fight against corruption, and the administration of justice if the court stepped into this arena to decide who should be investigated, who should be prosecuted, and who should not. That is not the function of adjudication. The person, through his lawyer, proceeded to the Human Rights Court on an ex parte application, and the judge, without even an inquiry as to why the OSP believed him to be a fugitive from justice, issued an injunction that the OSP should not arrest the person for a period of 10 days. Members of the press, this is dangerous. It encourages criminal suspects to go before the courts to seek injunction orders against law enforcement agencies from apprehending them. The judge did not advert his mind to the well-founded proposition that no one has the right not to be arrested. And he accorded the suspect a right not to be arrested.
The petition dated April 30, 2024 was sent to the President by former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu and conveyed to Justice Getchu Tokonu on May 6, 2024. The petition alleges procurement breaches in the purchase of vehicles for the Office of the Special Prosecutor and accuses Cecilia Dapaah of misconduct involving judges and the administration of justice. Martin Amidu's petition includes allegations of violations of citizens' rights through arrests and detentions, breaches of the right to information, and proper appointments of personnel to the OSP. The impeachment process appears to be linked to a controversial press conference held by Cecilia Dapaah, during which he claimed that judges had conspired against him. Amidu argues that these remarks constitute abuse of judges and brings the judiciary into disrepute. This development follows reports that Special Prosecutor Cecilia Dapaah refused demands to resign, choosing instead to hold a press conference to express his frustrations with his role. Additionally, Martin Amidu assessed that the Special Prosecutor abused the rights of individuals such as Cecilia Dapaah and Professor Frimpong Boateng by arresting them.
All right, welcome back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moro. I did indicate from the beginning of the show that we have two important conversations to have. One has to do with what clearly comes out as a very strange development, where the former occupant of the Office of the Special Prosecutor and a serial critic, actually, and that's something I need to add, of Mr. Cecilia Dapaah. I'm talking about the former Attorney General, that's Martin Amidu, who is actually seeking to remove Cecilia Dapaah from office, and he has actually petitioned the President for the President to do that. The President has actually transmitted that petition to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice has actually written to Mr. Cecilia Dapaah for some responses from him, preliminary responses based on allegations that have been made by Martin Amidu. Of course, based on what, Cecilia Dapaah would be forwarding to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice would then sit down with a team and establish what in the lawyers call a prima facie. Once that is established, then the right processes will kick in and so on and so forth. But that's where we are. But it's odd for some people because this is a man who has been very critical. I mean, we all know how Martin feels about the sitting president. We know the kinds of words that he's used against the sitting president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And then he's now seeking, he's now asking the same president whom he's been hurling all kinds of very derogatory words at, now come in, intervene, and get this guy out. Something doesn't add up for a lot of political watchers and social commentators, but we'll try and understand what's happening. There are some who also feel that there's a story behind the story, and that Martin is not just doing this for nothing. There's something actually happening. In fact, I've heard the former Auditor General, Yao Domolovo, who was actually kicked out of office through a similar process, was saying that when you're fighting corruption, corruption will fight you back. And so he suspects there's more to what is happening than meet the eye. Anyway, we'll try and raise Yao Domolovo himself on the line to try to speak to him on what he makes of this. But closely related to this is also a petition. Yao Domolovo, Professor Jaraswan Jampo of the University of Ghana, Political Science Department, and 100 others have come together to petition the Speaker of Parliament to set up a bipartisan committee to look into the Cecilia Dapaah matter, more specifically to probe EOCO and find out why EOCO couldn't have, based on the information that's been given to them by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, to proceed to do the needful, which is to seize the monies that were given back by the court to Cecilia Dapaah and some other actions that they believe EOCO could have taken. So it's all interrelated, sort of. So we'll try and make sense of that. But there's another conversation that has to do with that affects all of us because it has to do with the Cedi. Yes, the Cedi, if you've noticed, is on a free fall or is in a free fall. And as per our calculations, is falling close to about 20-something%. And Mr. Joe Jackson, who's the acting chief executive of Dalex, would perhaps substantiate that. But it's falling quite drastically. And everybody's beginning to feel the pinch, and businesses are complaining, individuals are complaining, and so on and so forth. So we'd ask, what exactly is causing the woes of the city? Why is it experiencing a slump? Why is it sliding? What exactly is the problem with the city? How do we stem the tide? And that's a conversation we're going to have. There's all kinds of theories that people have propounded to explain why the city is coming down. But we'll try and, when Joe Jackson takes his turn, to tell us what he also thinks based on his research on what's happening to the city. So it promises to be a very interesting conversation. Now let's start with what's happening with the Office of the Special Prosecutor and what appears to be what clearly looks like a chess killer that we're playing with the Office of the Special Prosecutor and with the Martin Amidu's matter. So let me read to you what Mr. Martin Amidu is asking, or the grounds upon which Mr. Martin Amidu is asking the president, of course, with the Chief Justice, to get the guy out of office. So President Kufuor formally forwarded a petition for the removal of the special prosecutor, Cecilia Dapaah, from office. The petition, as per law requires, or by law required, was transmitted to the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. We can confirm that the petition was submitted to the presidency by Dapaah's predecessor and, of course, his serial critic, Martin Amidu. We're told that the Chief Justice, to whom the petition was forwarded for action, has written to the special prosecutor for his responses to the allegations of a prima facie status to be determined for further action. Now, this is a summary. Martin Amidu's petition for the removal of the special prosecutor from office. Now, the summary, it says, number one, encroachment of authority. And it says, encroachment of authority, inducement of staff from sister law enforcement agencies, abuse of citizens' rights through arrest and detention, abuse of the judiciary, procurement breaches, refusal to comply with RTI requests. Now, with the encroachment of authority, this is what Mr. Martin Amidu says. Now, he's alleging that it is the president who should have appointed the staff of the OSP and not the special prosecutor. Yeah, that's what he's saying. He alleges that the special prosecutor encroached the powers of the president when he engaged the services of 3 directors when he did not have a board. He points out in many words that he had mainly sought the secondment of staff to his office with the approval of the president when he did not have a board. However, Mr. Cecilia Dapaah did not seek approval from the president. So that's number one. There's also inducement of staff from sister law enforcement agencies. Here he says that he's alleging that the current special prosecutor recruited staff from sister law enforcement agencies, particularly the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, and the Ghana Police Service, by inducing them with higher salaries and higher ranks. Anyway, Amidu attaches resignation letters he officially obtained from EOCO, of course, of their officials who are now working with the OSP. He also attaches the RTI request he made to the Ghana Police Service for names and ranks of officers who have resigned to join the OSP. The police did not provide official resignation letters. That's what he's saying. There's abuse of citizens' rights through arrest and detention. Now, Martin Amidu is alleging that the OSP's handling of cases involving Madame Cecilia Dapaah, Professor Frimpong Boateng, Colonel Damoah, and Joseph Eduche of the Customs Division of GRA, and Miss Eunice Jacqueline Bua Asoma Hene, Chief Executive of La Bianca, and a member of the Council of State, amounted to an abuse of the rights of these citizens through the arrest and detentions made by the OSP. Mr. Amidu has attached the entire court documents filed at the High Court from start to finish of the Cecilia Dapaah case to his petition as an exhibit. Charge number 4, abuse of the judiciary. In a media briefing on November 2023, the special prosecutor told the press that there appeared to be a developing trend of rather regressive and dismissal judicial decisions involving the OSP cases. The OSP provided 4 examples of rulings by the court that appeared to ignore the law or reason or both. Mr. Amidu alleges that this criticism is tantamount to abuse of the judiciary. He then attaches an article he wrote on 3rd December 2023 criticizing the SP as evidence of judicial abuse. Number 5, procurement breaches. The former special prosecutor is alleging that the OSP had breached procurement rules in its refurbishment of the new office complex and procurement of vehicles. The only exhibit he attaches is an RTI request to the Public Procurement Authority for documentation covering such transactions. PPA denied the request for the information on the basis that they are not OSP. Number 6, and that's the final one. Refusal to comply with RTI request. Martin Amidu also alleges that the OSP did not grant him information about several rights to information requests he placed. Mr. Amidu requested that the OSP provides him with the appointment letters and salary details of OSP staff on a pen drive. Details on the specialized vehicles by the OSP. So these are the issues that Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser Amidu has with the current special prosecutor, that's Cecilia Dapaah. Whether that in itself constitutes sufficient grounds for the removal of the man or not is another matter. That we're just watching with bated breath. We're waiting with bated breath how all of this pans out. But let me pick the thoughts of my resource persons who joined us. Let me say that the Honorable Alex Sebefia, fantastic man, great man, great brain. He's joined us this morning. We're going to pick his thoughts on this. He's joined us. He's actually he's the Director, International Relations of the NDC. Has joined us in the studio. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure having you, sir. I like your smock. It looks really good on you. I don't know who is your tailor. I don't know where you bought this from. From Tamale, okay. It looks really good. And your microphone is actually off. I noticed that Mr. Joe Jackson has been he's been staring. He's been stealing glances at you since you came.
He decided to wear hats, so I said,
Mr. Joe Jackson, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to be here. I've been here for some time, actually.
Yeah, you haven't been here for some time. You've been busy. And I also want to use this to congratulate, even though, what some say is a bit of premature, because there's one more leg to overcome before he's finally conferred. But he's actually the acting chief executive officer of Dalex Finance. Before, he was the director of strategy and operations. He's now been elevated to the soon to be the chief executive officer of Dalex Finance. Of course, pending the confirmation by the Central Bank of the Bank of Ghana. But I think congratulations are still in order.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I hope that everything's fine, sir. Family, everybody's fine.
Everybody is in, I like the boxing analogy, you are jabbing, you're swinging, sometimes you clinch.
Right.
Sometimes you even do a rope-a-dope. But whatever it is, you stay in the ring.
Right.
Sometimes
I like
get knocked down.
That's the whole thing. Don't get knocked out. Stay in the ring.
But I need to say this, that actually the main reason why Mr. Joe Jackson is here is because he has a very fantastic, a brilliant presentation to make on why the Cedi is experiencing such a free fall and what he thinks should be the way forward. That's why he's here. But he cares a lot about this country, and so he'll always speak his thoughts. Of course, if he has an opinion, he will express it on any social issue that you bring before him. That's, of course, if he has an opinion. So I'll start with the Honorable Alex Sebefia. We're also working the lines to get through to the Honorable Yao Dom Level to pick his thoughts on the petition that they have sent to the Speaker of Parliament and what he thinks about what Martin Amidu is doing. The fact that he wants Mr. Cecilia Dapaah out. Also, let me also say that Kinsla Mwakwa Bwedu is also a private legal practitioner, a member of the MPP's communications team. He'll also be taking his seat shortly. But I'll start with the Honorable Alex Sebefia. I don't know, but a lot of people have actually find this development a little odd. For many reasons. One, how did you see a predecessor haunting the successor when they take over from his position? That's number one. And then number two, you also have the same Martin Lamisi Amidu, who's been very critical of the current president. He's called him all sorts of names, mother serpent of corruption, of all corruptions, and so on and so forth. Nobody ever imagined, I don't know that you did, but nobody ever imagined that the same Martin Amidu would actually be, falling on the president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for him to intervene in order to get Cecilia Dapaah out. Never mind the fact that that's what the Article 146 says in terms of what the constitutional process should be. But I don't know whether you also find it odd.
First and foremost, good morning to everybody, more especially my colleague who has just joined us.
Kinsley Amwakubede.
Yeah.
I was just about to introduce it, but it's good. You took the wind out of my sails. Thank you so very much, sir.
Yeah.
Kinsley,
and
good
also,
to see you. How are you, boss? Thank you. All right, sir.
And my brother from Dalex,
Mr. Joe Jackson.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
And, more importantly, to all the listeners and viewers who are watching us today, let me position this first and foremost in what, as a country, we've been trying to do. One of the biggest issues in our country is corruption. It's a very serious thing which was identified. It was clear over the years that for some reason people had lost faith and trust in the organizations that existed already in our system to deal with certain aspects of corruption or malfeasance, whichever way you want to look at it. The current government made a lot of mileage, even in international circles, by creating the Office of the Special Prosecutor. From day one, when it was being created, we said there are problems because of the fact that prosecutions by our constitutions lie wholly in the ambit of Attorney General. So if you don't draft in a way where he kind of cedes his power partially to an Office of a Special Prosecutor, you're already on a hiding to nothing.
Right.
Because at any point, he can be curtailed or succumbed. And he should have been given unfettered powers as opposed to restricted powers that exist within the Office of the Special Prosecutors Act. If you really wanted to fight corruption without executive involvement. So all of a sudden, you get the accolades for creating an office, but an office that, on the face of it, doesn't have the teeth it needs to bite. And the first person you put in there is Martin Amidou. Martin Amidou is a go-getter when it comes to his law. So he decides to begin to put certain things in place and ask certain questions. Straight away, he's not the best person for the job. And for me, there was clearly executive involvement that led finally to him no longer being in that position. That was a black mark on the government's fight against corruption. Because he didn't just leave quietly. The kind of adjectives that were used towards the president and members of the executive when he left people in no doubt that all was not well within the executive, or for that matter, governance structure.
Right.
And he was pointing directly at the president. So it behoved on the president, when he was making his next appointment, to be sure that he was satisfied and the process that was followed was going to give him the kind of person he required. It's a new office. From day one, it was not funded properly.
Yeah.
It had been a fight that even Martin Amidou had been having before Cedi came. Some forms of funds were made available. It is very difficult to work in makeshift offices when you are dealing with this type of offenses. It should have been set up properly from day one.
Right.
So both our special prosecutors, Martin Amidou and Cedi, have had a lot of difficulty in being able to operate, even getting the right staff to operate.
Right.
And therefore, I don't rest the problem with any of the people who have been appointed. I start by looking at the legislation that created the office,
right,
and then I look at the funding that was created by the government. So the government just put it there, from what I'm saying, for nice political gain, but without any real desire to fight corruption.
So it was just a case of taking a political box.
Exactly. That is how I see it.
All right.
And we stand to be corrected. Because if you listen to Cecilia statement he made after the whole Cecilia Dapaah's issue came up and other issues had arisen, it was clear that he didn't think every possible interpretation you could put on. And this is the beauty of law. When a situation comes, one lawyer has a view, another lawyer has a view, and the court then decides.
Yeah.
So there are always multiple or different interpretations to a particular issue. When you have made up your mind to fight corruption, you would expect certain interpretations to be put on certain cases or certain actions to give the unfettered position for a person in that position to act.
Right.
Yet, if you straitjacket the person, even more so by interpretation of what he can do or not do, then you have a problem. I mean, this whole argument, and I've heard the legal issues, even my brother Martin Pebo says, yes, it wasn't done properly, blah, blah. Look, why did they tie his hands in the first place? It was wrong. So what is the point of the office of the special prosecutor? And we, when we come into office, have to sit back and really look at it again. And it comes back to constitutional review, or what's it called? Constitutional referendum. Because if you do not review the Constitution and make certain amendments to allow certain officers to now get the power that they need, you are always going to be fighting a special prosecutor who thinks that I need to do my job. And when you have an executive that clearly feels that they do not want you and start taking all kinds of steps to ensure that you no longer can act. How old is the special prosecutor's position? They have a tenure of how long? Almost the tenure of judges. True. We have got two in how many years? I mean, we have Martin Amidu, we now have Cedi Dapaah. Yeah. So we are looking, from what we are looking, they want the third. Yeah. Because you want to have him removed. That, and I'm saying they will say, oh, but it's a private person bringing it. No. Let's now get into the politics. This is an executive move, as far as I'm concerned. And Martin Amidu might say, oh, no. Everybody knows me. I'm citizen vigilante. If there's a problem, I'll bring it up. But for somebody who has just gotten into the seat, who is trying to, and he saw the problems that existed, and that he had to face, he should be cutting a lot more slack, as far as I'm concerned, for the office of the special, because he was a victim.
Yeah.
So he should rather be pointing out how they can help the man to succeed, not asking for his removal. That is my opinion.
Because I think your issue is, how does the removal of Cedi Dapaah solve the very problems that he, Martin, complained about when he was there? It doesn't solve the problem.
No, and more importantly, we want to fight corruption. This is for me, that is the key.
Yeah.
We want to fight. I mean, the Cecilia Dapaah issue, which is going to come on, is a slap in the face. Let me be clear. You can't have that amount of money and no explanation given and say that, oh, because of law.
Alex, are you suggesting that it would not be far-fetched to have it, to connect what is happening with it, to connect this Martin Amidu to the Cecilia Dapaah matter? Are you saying it won't be far-fetched for anybody to assume that there's a certain link, there's a certain linkage?
It is one of the reasons why there's pressure to remove, because Cedi Dapaah went all out to try and have the money confiscated and the prosecution brought against Cecilia Dapaah. Before even he had gotten anywhere, and she was compelled to resign.
Yeah.
She was being told by the president that, don't worry, we know that you are innocent. So, clearinghouse had already taken place. She had been cleared even before the issue began. It cannot be right. And the same law the same law says that Iyoko could have done a different, better job of investigating this matter and confiscating the funds in good time. So, what are we talking about? We are talking about political will to fight corruption. At this moment in time, I'm saying it is zero.
I see.
It is zero.
I get it. I get the point you're making. Let me bring in Mr. Joe Jackson. I mean, he's been here for some time now. I'd have to pick his thoughts. But you're not a politician. You have your own business. You're running, but you've been very particularly worried about the fact that we've been struggling to fight corruption in this country. And you've said it time and again, if we're able to save even half of what we lose to corruption, Ghana will be a much better place to be. And so you definitely must be worried about what's happening.
Listen, Moro, thank you very much. Some of us feel that the problem with this country may not even be economic mismanagement. It is just plain old corruption. Because we all know what has to be done. I don't think there's anybody in any part of the divide that does not have an idea of what has to be done. When things don't get done, look deeply and you see some personal benefit and some personal interest driving those decisions. As simple as that. So the fight for corruption, the fight against corruption, may be the single most important fight that we are having at the moment. And if to the extent that the office of the OSP is supposed to be one of the tools, then those of us who say we want to fight corruption must be part of rewriting the rules, if the rules need to be rewritten, supporting whoever is in the office, and getting things done. Listen, what I can't understand, and I must be honest, I'm at odds with this. There's a bigger picture. The bigger picture says, let's fight corruption. Martin Amidu is someone we all respect and we all believe is a member of this fight. That, it seems to me, and why I'm confused, it seems to me like he's lost the bigger picture and he's focusing on the minutiae to get the current
special prosecutor
out of office. Beats my imagination. I'll be honest with you. Wasn't the complaint that his office was not resourced? Yes. That's Martin's complaint. True. Clearly. Yeah. So when you look at his complaint, he's saying that in his zeal to get the office resourced, he has stepped on a few toes, including the president's right. I mean, forgive me, Martin. Are you the one to come and defend the president? If the president's rights have been stepped upon, the president is a more than competent lawyer with all the resources of state behind him. So I don't understand this issue. Because when I look at all the issues raised, right, okay, we can't be happy with the fact that the OSP does not respond to RTIs. I mean, that can't be right, and that should be dealt with. But this issue of pay slips and people who have been brought in from sister agencies, and forgive me, I'm out of here of this matter.
I mean, especially what you're saying, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make,
something doesn't add up.
You are nitpicking and arming those who are looking for a way to get this special prosecutor out of office because he is a bit outspoken on issues that rub the powers that be up wrongly. Simple.
See,
listen. The Cecilia Dapaah matter stinks. It stinks to a level which we are all watching and saying that in any other jurisdiction, except for this one, and except for a robber baron state, where a minister is holding that amount of money, Abba, please. Where was the declaration of assets?
Well, the latest is that the husband is actually explaining that. The husband
We've had so many explanations, we don't even know what to believe anymore.
Well, he said he's been saving these monies for more than 20 years.
Please set the right example. Save in an institution. Bring me some of the money into my institution. Exactly. Set the right example. Don't be saving. Take it to a bank.
Yeah, but at least he's told you how he came by the money.
Now advertising this.
He hasn't mentioned the name of the company. He hasn't mentioned the name of his company. He's just saying that bring it to a financial institution. Yeah.
That can't be the issue. The issue is that set the right example. Do the right thing.
Right.
And my request for the money
your
to come
microphone
into
was
my
off.
studio
Sorry.
is a legitimate request.
Right. No, he's not doing that. He's not doing that.
The key thing is that that issue stinks, right? And anybody who comes up and says, I kept asking, why won't this issue go to court so that all of us can know what happened, so that we can now see, we can hear, because there's so many interpretations, like Honorable Sebefia said, there's so many interpretations. There are people who interpret this and say, the lady and the man should be in court today. But anyway, listen, my appeal is this. Citizen vigilante, we have a lot of respect for your fight against corruption. We say, don't be used as an unwitting tool for the powers that may not want the current special prosecutor in power.
Okay. All right. That's Mr. Joe Jackson's thoughts, his perspectives on this matter. Let me bring in Mr. Kingsley Amwakwa Boydu, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party's communications team. He's also a private legal practitioner. What do you make of this, Kingsley? I mean, when you heard that Martin Alamisi Amidu of all people, I mean, would want to petition the very president he's been very critical of, that I want you to help me kick this guy out of office. I mean, can you help us make sense? Because a lot of us confused. What exactly is happening?
Well, thank you very much and good morning to my fellows. I've not seen you for a long while.
Right.
Yes.
My learned senior, I've been waiting to meet you on a panel since way back.
Right.
So I'm very happy.
He's here.
But see, I was landing with him, and Ilani was a big guy.
Right. The big boy.
Oh yeah. Crown prosecutions. He was this is your true barrister.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And when I meet my true seniors, I have to salute them. So yeah. So
Oh
yeah. Unfortunately, my fat check. So I mean, the work you've done for all the black community in London, UK, super.
Okay.
I'm grateful. And I thumbs up to you. Double thumbs up to you. Well done. And
but I'm still going to fight you.
I'm
softening you up.
I'm ready to win the first part.
No, it's actually a friendly fight.
I'm already about to do the first part.
Fight,
it being that,
yes.
When it comes to matters of corruption, all right, the more we depoliticize it, the better we are able to achieve something for Ghana. You see, so once we want to hide it, not to go anywhere, we do the NDC MPP thing, and then before I realize it didn't get anywhere, another topic will come. But I think for some of us, for me, but I think when it comes to corruption, the powers that is given a state institution, you see, we have devolved the state from the government, and for a long period of time, very long period of time, the state institutions are not becoming as powerful as the government. The state institutions are the ones mandated to do the work. Otherwise, if they are empowered, then the reason for passing laws and setting them up, we are not able to achieve them. But if we devolve them so much, then the power becomes that of government. Then it's political and whatnot. And so for some of us feel that the institutions must do their work. And I'm not trying to mix up the Cecilia Dapaah issue with this, because I want to devolve them. It being that I am thinking it wasn't right, and it's not right for Martin, and I agree with you, for Martin, another learner senior of mine, to be the one bringing this and championing this, because it cuts a picture of sour grapes. You were in that position, you complain about things, and we didn't see you do any job. At least Kisi is doing the work. You can talk about here himself, complain about some bottlenecks and whatnot, but he's doing the work. Martin didn't do the work, and we expected Martin rather to do the work, because you are known as a citizen vigilante. Okay, so you should be able to do the work, and in fact, you are not even part of my government, and you didn't do the work. Why are you picking up on your younger, probably your son, right? In this way, the moment he came, you kept on, criticizing him and whatnot. Yeah. It's a matter of calling, my son, come and sit down. In fact, I'm glad to meet the the seniors who've been in politics for long.
And just say,
no matter what,
based on my
political
experience.
divide, because they have seen a lot in Ghana.
Yeah.
Ghana is not just 1992 constitution. There's a lot, and the back of it, we are where we are. So if you really want to do good for Ghana, when you meet the very senior ones, they're able to open up certain things, and that will inform you. You have the power, you have experience. So it is for Martin to say, my son or my younger brother, Martin is what, 75, I think, or 70 something?
Well, I don't know, but he should be in his 70s.
But yes, because he used to spar with Nanado.
Right.
Nanado is 75.
Right.
You see the difference? So that's
Nanado is 80.
No, 75 call.
Oh, 75, okay.
Exactly.
When we were called to the bar.
Exactly.
I get it.
So Martin will be there. And Martin has been Deputy Attorney General under Obeda Samoa.
Yes.
Obeda Samoa taught a lot of the people,
Yes.
isn't it? Taught all the big one. Obeda Samoa was their lecturer.
Yeah.
So you've had all that. So I would imagine that you would call my son, this place called Ghana.
Yeah.
These are some of the issues you can look at to be very effective, and this and that. And every now and then chip in one. But to be the one breathing down his neck and doing this, it casts a very bizarre picture.
Right.
Having said that, because of the politics you introduced, it is not difficult for you to say that it's the government who wants him out. But Martin, how can you push Martin to do this with him? You can't. He himself has come, and I challenge him any day, anytime, that he should bring proof that he's calling the man the mother serpent of all this and that. And then the same mother serpent was able to coerce you. I mean, and this thing can be done. You see the other petition. I think there are people that we will say ordinary citizens. Stress and they are part of all that.
Yes.
So you couldn't get anyone to do that. It's only Martin that we could get to do that. Come on. It is not true. It cannot be true.
Right.
All right. The only political game they play is that there were other petitions and it wasn't fast forwarded. Why is this fast forwarded? No. You cannot say that because of that we initiated it and we got him. And I saw other people on other platforms saying, no, the president is behind it, the president is behind it. It cannot be true, definitely. And if it was, I am not, you see, when it comes to the Superior Justice of the Court, theirs is Article 146. All right, and so it looks like it's been transposed into Section 15 of the Special Prosecutors Act.
Right.
And they've changed a bit and removed some. So if it was the Superior Justices of the Court, it is quietly done. The fact that it is even published is an unconstitutional matter. Not publish it. It should be sent to the president forwards it. If the Chief Justice feels there's merit, there's a prima facie case done, then he sets up the committee. You see that in the Special Prosecutor Committee, there's only three. One should be a Supreme Court judge and whatnot. But in the Superior Justice of the Court, it's more than three.
Right.
Then, at that stage, then the issues are coming because definitely there's all the alterum pater. Alterum pater means that you must hear your side.
Absolutely.
And if you see the letter going around, that is what the Chief Justice sent for him to come and defend his issues. Now, if we are going by this, once we have seen that this is what Martin sent, then the issue of encroachment of authority, inducements of staff from sister law enforcement agencies, that's an issue. At all. What is that? I mean, if I'm a legal practitioner, private practitioner, I've done so for more than 10 years. And so if I wanted to go to the bench, all things being equal, because it's not easy, it's not a walk in the park, for instance, that because you've done 10 years, you are bad. At least on paper, I qualify to be a high court judge.
Right.
If I have a chance to go and I look at my private practice and where it's reached and the clout I'll get, you see when they come in, there's a police behind them and all, and then they return their salary and all that. I'll look at pros and cons to see. So you cannot say that because it's induced them. Did he coerce them? Did he just go there and pick them? So the persons made their own decisions to join the Alpha. How is this a matter that...
So you feel the grounds are weak?
I'm coming.
Okay.
Then abuse of citizens' right through arrest.
Yes.
Does he have the power of arrest? Does the special police have the power of arrest? So what is the abuse? I mean, as if you're going to say, there's in criminal law, and even in tort, there is the issue of when the police prosecute you wrongly, malicious prosecution.
Yeah.
Is he alleging malicious prosecution here? then what's the remedy? You go to court. How is this abuse of the judiciary? I disagree. This is my very good friend. I've told you that. We used to work together at Dominica Ines Law Firm. We're all senior associates. Right. Me, Kisi, Pokwedusei, and a few others.
Okay.
Right? We're all senior associates there. So I know him very well. That is not to say that if he does something wrong, I will not point it out.
Or if you disagree with him, you won't say it.
Yeah, I will tell him. Yes. And that's our training from UK, isn't it? Now, abuse of judiciary, my take on that was that instead of coming out with that public statement and all that, he should have actually probably go and see the Chief Justice, sit there, introduce himself, and then get some advice, build some rapport, maybe go with his outfit. The Chief Justice also call other justices, they sit down. But to come out that way is not proper. But did he abuse them? And the abuse is a ground for what? Removal? I don't think so. The last one is refusal to comply with RTI request. There's a remedy in the RTI Act for that. There's a remedy. So the fifth one is where probably there are issues.
Okay.
Because procurement breaches, that is what removes the EC.
Yeah, Charlotte.
All right. Yes. So then, that is where the issue is. Now, does he have? Because this is what we know is in the.
Does he have any evidence?
Yeah, but I mean, it may be that he's attached
some. Okay.
But if he's going to rely on your senior brother's program here, Good Evening Ghana, then it's going to be hearsay. Then it's like inviting Kisi rather to come and give the evidence. I'm doing a bit of small politics.
Yes, but
the same as my brothers.
But do you think
calling?
Martin?
Please. All right. The same as my brothers calling the electoral commissioner doing the election petition rather to come and offer them what they needed to crucify her. That's how you do it. You rather bring your piece of evidence.
Right. Interestingly, Martin has rather shifted the burden of proof to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what they were doing. You are saying you've won the election and you don't have the results. And he said come and sign the ball so that we can.
He used to come and prove that he's engaged in something.
The EC declaration of
exactly.
No, I get it. But I wanted us to skip
why
that.
the two are even.
They are the same.
Right.
You are shifting. You wanted to and so the moment you didn't come, that's the end of your case. If and I'm not preempting what the CJ will do.
Okay.
And if it was in court, then I wouldn't even talk about it because I just dance around it and all that, but not even talk about the merits. But I've got a bit further to say that if this is it, and for the fifth point, there's no evidence. I don't really see.
But why? Look, but here's the thing. But why will Martin go on this wild goose chase? If indeed what we're suggesting, per what we've just said, it appears to be, it's much ado about nothing. Why would Martin want to do that? I mean, the last time I checked, he's not insane.
Oh, no, don't go there.
No, I'm saying the last time I checked, he's not insane.
Still don't go there.
He's a very sane person.
Yeah, exactly. He's a very serious person.
That's the point I'm making. Yes, I'm saying he's a very sane person.
Don't when you know the person. Sorry for coming out. Okay, don't bring it out that way.
Right. I'm saying that
when you know
he's a very serious person.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You're making my point.
So listen, think about it, You're describing.
I don't understand.
You've just taken 6 points.
Yes.
And you've torn them to bits.
Yes.
Leaving one. I dare say he is such a senior lawyer.
Yeah.
He knows the law, and why would he? You see, that's what.
It's very difficult to understand.
Aha.
Very, very difficult.
You understand?
Joe Jackson makes a point, which you also make. You see, some of these things behind the scenes, you call the person, my brother, this. Look, I'm your senior. You can't do this. It's not everything that has to be in the.
Yes. But you only do that if you mean well.
Now you're making a point.
You see.
Now you're making a point.
If you don't have any sinister motive, yes, that's how you.
That
go
is
about
why
it.
some of us have even extended it beyond.
Yes.
You see, because we are trying to fathom.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
It has gotten. Yes.
Yeah.
And you see, it doesn't help you. What do I mean? You see, if the president had waited 5 days even, sent it, you water down our arguments immediately.
Right.
The thing didn't even reach the death note.
How do you know? How do you know? You and I were not there.
No, but the Constitution says the president shall. So he doesn't have any option.
The Bible that says that before you have finished praying,
Yeah, that's it.
before you have even granted it,
So straight away, it made it seem.
So, Alex, aren't you reading more into what's happening? I mean,
It is
aren't you
possible.
reading?
I mean,
Really?
I give my brother credit saying that, oh, you are WhatsApp. But I'm saying that if you make your bed, sometimes you have to lie in it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is the basis for it. Because
Right.
if you can go to the extent of even stopping a document from Parliament reaching you,
Right.
so that you don't pick it up,
Right.
so that the clock won't start ticking. You have been able to do that so quickly. This one, read it, take time, take a week, and say, okay, I have to refer, so I have referred. But the ink wasn't driving on the person who wrote it, and it had reached. This is where the problem is.
But this is what you expect from the president, that when the petition is sent to me, forwards it to the CJ.
So why hasn't he done
So
it?
why do you have a problem with the
Why
president?
didn't he do it in previous cases?
What is discretion?
So why did this one did you act in this?
It's discretion.
No, it's not. So then you've made your bed, lie in it. People have jumped to that conclusion.
I get it.
That is what I'm saying.
But, hold on. But you see, I was actually watching Good Morning Ghana on Friday.
Yes.
Now, Nana Komia's argument, he's not a lawyer, but he says his layman argument is that it appears that the president's own interpretation of how Article 146 must manifest is not the same as how you lawyers also interpret it. So, for instance, there have been so many petitions that have been filed, to the president for onward transmission to the CJ, and they're lying before him. In fact, for now we know about 3. He hasn't done anything about them. Not to talk about those we don't know.
Yeah.
Then this one is about Kisejabe, and then quickly, like you said, it's been transmitted to the CJ. Now, what is it that makes the president decide what petition to file, to send, to transmit to the CJ, and the ones that he must keep there and not do anything about it?
And the ones he must stop that shouldn't even reach him.
Absolutely. So the president's own interpretation of how the law must work perhaps may not be the same as how you and Kingsley appreciate how the law must work. And Nana Komia's argument is that perhaps we may have to go to the Supreme Court to get the Supreme Court to give more clarity to 146 and how it must operate.
To lay down criteria.
Absolutely. Okay. Which is to say that when the documents comes to you, you must say you don't have any option past it, even if it's frivolous. Because at the moment, it's become discretionary. And there's a problem with that. So isn't it time for somebody to go to the court and say, Supreme Court, should it be discretionary or not? Help us. What does 146 say? That when the thing comes to you, can you decide, oh, this one I like? Take. This one I don't like. Wait. Does the president have the right to do that? Because that's where Joe Jackson says, yes. Okay.
The question is that at the moment, he can decide to fast track it or leave it.
Yes.
So we have to assume
Yes.
that when he fast tracks something,
Yes.
there is something in the soup.
Yes. But here's the thing. But here's the thing. The president has 7 days, doesn't he? I stand to correct.
Yes.
He has 7 days to determine whether or not to transmit the document to the CJ.
No.
He has 7 days to do what?
Transmit it.
To transmit it. Okay, not to necessarily determine.
No.
So why
why 7 days?
why are others sitting on his desk?
No, but first of all, why 7 days? It
No,
takes
no,
us.
no.
It takes us
No,
a few.
no.
It takes
Why
a few
are
seconds.
they
I mean,
sitting?
there's delivery, there's delivery services.
You see,
why 7 days?
Alex is laughing
No,
because
yes,
this
no,
one.
no, PJ. The reason I'm saying this because it's 7 days because, per my own understanding, I'm saying 7 days because perhaps the crafters or the framers of the Constitution anticipated a situation where the president cannot actually determine from where he sits whether to transmit the documents or not.
No.
In that case,
And that's what the president has done.
Let's be fine.
Okay, please speak to the law.
To the law.
You guys are the
Right.
lawyers.
It says the president shall.
Shall. It means he doesn't have any option.
So
Can I sue the president?
Let someone
for
do
not
so.
transmitting the
Let someone
documents
do
to-
so. But I want to draw a note of caution that
All right.
because people are becoming so aware of the constitutional rights and even their human rights and fundamental human rights, there's a deluge of cases on the Supreme Court. And when it comes to interpretation of the Constitution, there's a principle of the Supreme Court.
Right.
There's a deluge of cases. Some of them are relevant to my view. Some of them are not so germane, and then some of them are just to score some political points.
The frivolous.
And you see some of them to definitely be reported in the law, in the Supreme Court law reports, and then your name is there forever and all that. whilst we are doing this, let's be mindful of the several other areas of law. Some people have fought on chieftaincy matters. It's gone to the National House of Chiefs. It's now come to the Supreme Court. Some have done their land litigation. So it used to be 25 years. If you look at some of them, it's now reached there. Some of them, someone is languishing in cells and it was an appeal. They said, I've been wrongly convicted. And all of a sudden, all these things come, and then people are now fighting the CJ. Why haven't you called this case? Why have you? And so let's be mindful of these things. And note that whilst you're filing these in court,
Yes.
let's be mindful of the several other things that happened in the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And so don't think that because it's gone there, it's going to be called here and now.
I get it. No, that's not what I said. Kingsley, except to say that, and Honorable Alex and Joe, except to say that the same constitution, and again I'm talking about Article 146, actually gives the decision to determine whether there's a case to answer or not per a petition to the Chief Justice. And so that then would ab initio, oust the president's discretion to determine whether there's a case, because that is not his job. Because you just corrected me. So the point is that, So the point I'm trying to make is that whether the case is case banza or is a good case, it's a Chief Justice that must determine. And that's why you lawyers talk about premier facie.
Yeah.
So in the case of Ceci Jabin, the letter was transmitted to the Chief Justice, and the Chief Justice looked at it and said, Ceci Jabin, this is what somebody is saying about you. Come and respond. Mm-hmm. Based on the responses of Ceci Jabin, the woman and then her team will sit down and say, okay, Charlie,
she herself
will say there's an issue so there's an issue worth looking into. So if somebody tells me that we must be careful with encouraging the president to just pass on or to transmitting all kinds of documents to the CJ, even if the documents
no. I'm saying that
where did you get
the matters. Sorry,
where did you get the 7?
It's not in the Article 146. I was saying that
the
issue of every little thing.
Okay.
Filing something in the Supreme Court for constitutional interpretation.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying, that there are several other areas of the law which are also at the Supreme Court. So the more we do this, we should also be mindful that it will not, your case may not be called there and then.
All right.
And let's not have political interpretations on the fact that you filed something.
I beg you, let me just do this. The former Auditor General Yao Domolevo has joined the conversation. We're going to speak to him briefly on two issues. One, the Ceci Jabin matter, the Martin Amadou case, and then also the petition they filed to the Speaker of Parliament for the Speaker of Parliament to probe Iyoko on how Iyoko has handled the Cecilia Dapaah matter. And the Honorable Yao Domolevo, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much, and good morning to you all.
It's a pleasure having you. Now, let's start with the petition that you have actually signed onto as an individual, as a Ghanaian, where you're asking the Speaker of Parliament to probe Iyoko. Why do you want Iyoko to be probed?
Yeah, we want Iyoko to be probed because we find it unacceptable that a state institution which has been so mandated will refuse or fail to discharge its duties. And if you follow the modus operandi of Iyoko, even issues which fall outside their mandate, they are quick to investigate them. I can give you at least two. One of them has to do with myself. Iyoko decided to investigate me for procurement breaches. And I drew their attention.
Mr. Domolevo, sorry, just a second. I don't know what the problem is, but we can't see you, even though I know you're on. I don't know whether you may have to position... Okay. I don't know you have to position your... Okay. Right. Good. So...
Is it okay now?
Yeah, but you still have to... Yes, it's you. I can see your nice shirt. It's a nice African wear, but I can't see your face there. Yes, I can see you now. I can see you now. Wonderful. I can see you now. Wonderful. Yes. So you're telling us why you want Iyoko to be probed.
Yes, we want Iyoko to be probed because we really don't understand the reason or the rationale behind the apparent refusal to investigate the Honorable Cecilia Dapaah's case. Because if you are somebody who is conversant with how Iyoko behaves, the way they do their things, even issues that do not fall within their mandate, they are quick to investigate. And I was going to give you two. One of them is myself. When I was in office and I was having the banter with the senior minister, Yoko decided to come and investigate me for procurement offense, even though the law does not allow the head of independent constitutional bodies like audit service to be part of the entity tender committee. They decided to take me on. I was the first person they detained and I had to get my driver to grant me bail. I wrote them to apologize and stop that unlawful behavior. They didn't stop. They told me it didn't lie in my mouth. So I had to sue them at the High Court. It took the High Court to tell them that they don't even have mandate to investigate procurement-related offenses before they stopped. That notwithstanding, recently, when Professor Stephen Ade made an allegation against the road ministry, quickly the road ministry wrote to Yoko. Instead of Yoko referring it to OSP where the mandate lied, Yoko went in and investigated and issued a report exonerating them from any wrongdoing. So even areas that do not fall under the mandate of Yoko, they are quick to investigate. So we find it very strange that issues which fall within their mandate, they are refusing to investigate. And there are two issues here. One, I ask myself, are they refusing to investigate just because the president predicted or prophesied when he was accepting the resignation from Madam Cecilia Dapaah to say that at the end of the day, your integrity or your reputation will be fully restored? Is it in fulfillment of that prophecy? That is why they are refusing to investigate. Or it is because Yoko is aware that if they should be investigating Madam Cecilia Dapaah, according to Section 1, Subsection 3 of the Hello?
Yes, I'm here. We're listening to you, sir.
Oh, okay. According to Section 1, Subsection 3 of the Anti-Money Laundering Act 2020, anyone who is being investigated for money laundering, if that person has in his or her possession a property that he or she cannot account for or cannot be reasonably attributed to his or her known sources of income, then it is an offense under subsection 2. More or less, it is a money laundering offense. We don't know whether that is the reason why they are not ready to do the investigation, or whether it is both of them. So that is why we thought we should go to Parliament and they call Yoko to order for us to know what is the story.
I see. Mr. Domolov, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Good. I like the explanation you've given us. I think it's sufficient enough. But just on the Cecilia Dapaah matter, I'm sure you have heard what Madame Tiwa Adodankwa said. She says, really, when the document came, it was empty. There was nothing in there. So she had nothing to work with, and she's been talking to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. In fact, they've written officially to the Office of the Special Prosecutor to furnish them with some details on some FBI investigations that they did. They want the details of that for them to be able to proceed to take the next step. And, according to her, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, they did not come good. So, really and truly, they are stuck. They don't know what to do. So what do you want Parliament to do? I mean, it's a helpless Ioko. How do you expect the Parliament to get them to work if they have nothing to work with?
Yeah, the explanation is untenable as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Because what do you call it? OSP does not have mandate to investigate money laundering offenses. So if it turns out that it is the evidence or the report.
Mr. Domolovo, can you please position your camera well so that we can see you? At the moment, we're not seeing your nice shirt and yourself. We're not seeing that anymore.
Sorry, Africa and technology, you know, our level of technology.
Just turn the camera around and we can see you. We want to see that nice shirt, that African print that you're wearing. It looks really good on you. Please turn the camera around. Good. Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much. You've done a good job, sir. Yes. Yeah, please go ahead.
So the point I was making is that first and foremost, the special prosecutor has no mandate to investigate money laundering offenses.
True.
That is why he sent the docket to Madam Cecilia, Madam Tiwa, to say this falls within your area. And if you followed events, he said there were about 20 witness cases or statements, which even support that it is issues relating to money laundering. Even with zero information, I don't think Yoko is not able to do their own investigation. They should be able to do the investigation, especially when huge sums of money has been found or allegedly found with the former minister. And you know that if such monies are found with you, there are two laws, at least that I remember, that come into play. The first one has to do with what I just referred to, that in case you are being investigated for money laundering, and we find property or money in your care which you cannot account for or cannot be attributed to your income source, then it is maybe an offense under subsection 2, which is money laundering. So I think they have to go in and get the full explanation for how those monies were generated. That is one. Another law, which is Article 286 of the Constitution, provides that all officers, including ministers, which she was, should declare their assets before assuming their offices as ministers to the Auditor General. And if there are under declaration or incomplete declaration, that is an offense under the Constitution and must be addressed according to Article 287. And the clause 4 of 286 continue to say that after your first declaration, where you told us what you had before you became a minister or before you assumed public office, if you have assets which cannot, beyond what you told us, cannot be attributed to your known sources of income, gift, etc., then it is also asset acquired unconstitutionally. So I think Yoko should have explored all these positions to come and tell us that, guys, we went in for the asset declaration and we have found everything that she has. They were declared even before she became a minister, or she has, during our investigation, showed us the sources from which all those monies were received, etc. Then the case comes to an end. We are not thinking, I in particular, let me speak for myself. I am not saying that at all costs Madam Cecilia Dapaah is guilty of anything, but we needed the investigation to tell us that we found nothing or we found something. But just to say I will not do my work, we thought that was uncalled for. That is why we are calling on Parliament to exercise oversight over Yoko.
But the CID, according to Attorney General, is already looking to this matter. So why is Yoko, why are they bothering themselves? According to the AG, says, I've instructed the CID to probe, the source of Madame Cecilia Dapaah's, wealth. And of course, that instruction was given to the CID since last year. Why do you still want Yoko to come in? The AG says, look, Yoko, you wait. Let the CID finish his work.
But I thought CID was doing his work whilst the same case was being investigated by the OSP.
True.
So nothing stops two institutions to go ahead with the investigation. Okay. It is only unfortunate that OSP has realized it is not within his mandate. That's why he has passed it on.
Okay.
So we are just saying that the work which was started by OSP should have been continued by Madam Tiwa or the office of Yoko.
Okay.
They should have continued that investigation.
All right. Just briefly before you take leave of us, my understanding is that you have a trip to embark on. So let's do this briefly. Have you seen Martin Amidu's petition? Not a document itself, but I'm sure you've been reading snippets of it. He wants Cecilia Dapaah out. What are your thoughts?
I find it a bit unfortunate, to be honest with you, because I think Martin Amidu based it on law. Yes, I have no qualms with that. He's my good friend, and we have had discussions several times, and he raised issues of law against Cecilia Dapaah. But I didn't know he was going to take it that far. And honestly, I think the presidency was also ready for Cecilia Dapaah. Hence, when Martin brought the case, quickly it has been fast-tracked. What am I saying? If you look at the petition which went on 30th of April, which was sent to the Chief Justice, that is received at the presidency on 30th of April, sent to Chief Justice, and Chief Justice has already written to Cecilia Dapaah, it tells you that the conveyor belt at the presidency can work very fast in some cases. Once you and I, we are aware that about 2020 or 2021 thereabout, there were petitions, 2 petitions against the chairman of the EC, Electoral Commission. Those petitions have not yet found their way even onto the conveyor belt. I'm also aware that Madam Sophia Akufu, the former Chief Justice, there was a petition against her also. It never found its way onto the conveyor belt. But this one has been so fast-tracked, it tells you that the system is fighting back because Cecilia Dapaah may seem to be doing what the system does not want him to do. What I mean by the system doesn't want him to do is, I'm just being sarcastic, as PLO Lumumba put it. He said when he was appointed, of course, as the head of the anti-corruption agency in Kenya, he misread his terms of reference. He thought his job was to fight corruption, not knowing his job was to pretend fighting corruption. So maybe Cecilia Dapaah thought his job was to fight corruption instead of pretending to fight corruption. So the system is working against him. Honestly, I did not expect that coming from Honorable Martin Amidu. I thought he should have left that to someone else. Thank you.
Just 30 seconds. You talk about the system wanting to fight back, of course, in line with the narrative we've always been pushing, which is that when you fight corruption, you fight it back. But this is Martin Amidu. Well, we all know Martin Amidu stands with this government. We know the kinds of things he said about this government. How then does the system come in? Help us understand. I mean, is that how fighting corruption works?
Yes. If you listen to the press conference that Cecilia Dapaah held, you can see a very frustrated person. And I, in particular, I feel for him because I know how it is if you occupy such a position, how it feels like they don't want you to do or move or talk or do anything. You see yourself as swimming against the tides every time. So I saw somebody in my shoes, and I sympathize with him a lot. Now, I'm not saying that the office of the president asked Martin Amidu to bring in a petition. No, I don't think anyone can ask Martin Amidu to do that. Except that what I'm saying is that what he did fell into the trap of the office of the president who was already waiting. Otherwise, we will not have heard of the petition. It will not have even got to the Chief Justice, because as an accountant, I talk about something very dear to our profession: consistency. The rate at which petitions were kept at the office of the president, I thought this one should have also gone to join the queue. How come this one is fast-tracked? So it tells you that the presidency was very happy to get this petition. Like they say in Akan, Atonelai. So.
All right, Mr.
Can I, on this note, beg permission to go and catch my flight? I have to travel.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Thank you. That's the former Auditor General. I'll take brief remark because we need to move to our next topic, which has to do with the free fall of the cedi. Just briefly.
Thank you. So I've heard the conveyor belt. Some is going faster, some not going faster.
Sometimes the conveyor belt goes down. Sometimes it works. Yes.
Well, let me give some legal light to this.
All right, please do.
So if you look at Section 15 of the Special Prosecutors Act,
Yes.
Section 3, it says where the president receives a petition for the removal of the special prosecutor, the president shall within 7 days refer the petition to the Chief Justice, who shall within 30 days determine whether there's a prima facie case.
Okay.
So there's a timeline.
Right.
If you look at Article 146 of the Constitution, it doesn't say anything of that sort. All right? There's no timelines.
Right.
It doesn't mean that the president shall refuse. All right, but it doesn't give timelines.
Right.
And then back to this Cecilia Dapaah matter. I can see that the petition is in respect of Article 103
Yes.
of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And 103 gives the Speaker of Parliament the power to set up
The bipartisan
a commission to inquire into this. But then if you look at Clause 6, it says the committee appointed under this article shall have the powers, rights, and privileges of a high court or justice of the high court at trial for A, enforcing attendance and witnesses and examining them on oath, affirmation, or otherwise. B, compelling the production of documents. And C, issuing a commission or request to examine witnesses abroad. I think these are some loopholes in Constitution that we need to tidy up, because they must be given some powers more than this. And as I said, we for the state institutions that are investigating corruption and on all that, they must be empowered more. But even we are saying that the state institution has not done its job, as you are going up, and then you go and meet these very vague powers that they are going to have. Okay. So then it's the fact that it plays to the gallery that by necessary result gets into the political refrain. And then to be there, then of course, and then it's gone. And this is an election year. My friends are so happy about this. Let's fund it, the perception. It will just be subsumed by another matter and then it's gone. And so I believe for the Cecilia Dapaah matter, the investigation, just like you rightly pointed out, has been done by the CID. If they should just request for whatever they have. If there's meat in it, they should prosecute. Cecilia Dapaah has very competent lawyers. They can defend it, and then the matter ends. But to be hiding and passing a bag between OSP and Yoko, it doesn't create a good picture. I think let's get to the bottom of it, deal with it. My party has nothing to hide. These are matters. Her matter. She deals with it, and then we'll move on, so that we deal with vast matters that concern the state, rather than we thinking there's a conveyor belt, which.
I want to say a very big thanks to Kingsley Amwakwa Boedu, who's a member of the MPP's communications team. Now we're done with our first topic. We're going to move to our second topic. The second topic has to do with the free fall of the cedi. We're worried. Businessmen are worried. We're all worried. We want to find out what exactly is accounted for this free fall and how do we come out of it. We'll take a short break. When we come back, Mr. Joe Jackson has a beautiful presentation. At some point, he'll give us a very nice presentation. You don't want to miss it. I'll also be joined by Abdul Ganiu. Abdul Ganiu is a technical advisor at the Ministry of Finance, and also I'll be speaking to somebody from Guta who have some serious reservations about the way the city is treating them. And so stay tuned in. It promises to be very interesting. All right, welcome back. So the cedi is on a free fall. What's happening to the cedi? In fact, Bloomberg has actually reported that by the end of this year, the cedi will breach the 14.85 that we're currently seeing. It will probably hit about close to 16 cedis per dollar. Big trouble, very trying times, very troubling times. What exactly is happening? Let me start with a technical advisor technical advisor at the Finance Ministry, that Dr. Abdul Ganiu. Let's start with him. Let's find out what the Finance Ministry is doing about the cedi depreciation. Good morning, Doc. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's good morning, and thank you very much for having me.
All right.
And of course, good morning to your viewers, and good morning to all my friends in the studio.
Right. How worried is the Finance Ministry about what the cedi is going through?
Well, everyone is concerned. I mean, just like all other Ghanaians, managers or handlers of the economy are even more worried, you know. But we continue to consider the fact that these things are quite usual, especially for the first quarter into the second quarter of every year. We should understand that importers certainly would have brought goods towards December. And maybe by January, February, when all of that is exhausted, they will surely go back to the international market to begin to bring in some more goods. So that demand for the dollar certainly is going to put pressure on the cedi. But if you look at the cedi depreciation in terms of the year to date, from January up to about May, we are talking about a depreciation of 12%. And the same period last year, the depreciation was around 27%. So that certainly is an indication that even though the cedi has depreciated, about 12% is so high, is so considerable. And that would mean that every manager or every handler of the economy will be worried. But if you compare that to a 27% depreciation the same period last year, it certainly shows that even though depreciation is taking place, but it's become more slower this year compared to last year. We understand that we are in an election year, and whatever the level of depreciation will come with greater concern. People are going to heighten, if you want, that particular concern, especially coming from the minority. But if you look at the same period depreciation last year of about 27%, perhaps we did not hear all the many concerns that are being expressed today. Apart from huge importation that you probably look at around this time, there are some other factors that certainly would have caused the current level of depreciation. The minority is right if they say that we have made some significant payments to contractors. What I disagree with is the 7 billion Ghana cedis that has been put out there, and to create the impression that these payments were made off budget. But these are IPCs that have ended for quite some time. And if payment has had to be made on these IPCs, I do not think there's anything wrong with that. Your network and many other networks surely would have reported agitations, protests by contractors to the effect that they have executed projects, and those projects, some of them have not been paid for, and some have even taken their tools and everything else and packed from their site. So it's a major concern, and government has had to prioritize those payments in the first quarter into the second quarter of this year. So that would mean that a lot more high cedi liquidity in the system is most likely to put pressure on the cedi. Then there are also issues of bondholder maturity of about 5.8 billion Ghana cedis that we had to pay in February. So that again pumps a lot of cedi into the system, and that certainly would create the pressure that we are seeing on the cedi. BOST continue to demand dollars for the importation of oil, ECG, payments to IPPs, and the fact that all of these payments most likely are going to land in the forex market have all contributed significantly to the 12% depreciation rate that we are currently seeing. So basically, these are some of the causes, and the Ministry of Finance is very much concerned about that. Minister will be addressing a press conference somewhere in May, that is this month, and we're going to address all of these issues and some of the measures that are being put in place to ensure that we stem the tide of depreciation, so that in the course of the year, the projections that are being made about what level of cedi we are going to record by the end of the year, I believe those measures should be able to ameliorate that and bring some stability to the cedi, and perhaps for the cedi to regain some of its lost value.
I see. That's quite interesting. Because we don't have a lot of time and you have other you have other appointments to attend to. I wouldn't want to keep you on the line for too long, but let me just finally ask you this, that there are people who are saying that one of the reasons why the city is falling is also based on speculations and sentiments. To what extent does the finance ministry factor all of this in analyzing what's happening to the city?
Well, it does happen. I mean, sentiments, obviously, because we are an election year. There are those investors who probably will want to keep assets in dollars and just adapt a wait and see attitude, what happens by the end of the year. So instead of making significant investments into some of their projects, most likely they'll keep holding on for them to see what happens in an election year, who wins power, who takes over, what the policies and programs are going to be. So every election year, these things are seen, and that's exactly what we are going through. But the assurance that I will continue to give to the market is that people should relax. We believe that the inflows that are expected for the rest of the year should be able to stabilize the currency. You know that we have successfully undergone a staff level review with the IMF. We've secured a staff level agreement. Next month will be the executive board meeting of the IMF. And the expectation is that the $360 million third tranche is expected to come in. So that certainly will bring some forex into the market. And then there's also the Development Policy Operation 2 under the World Bank. And once we are able to go through all the processes, we are able to undergo all the prior agreements. At the end of the day, we should secure some $300 million from the World Bank as well. So these are inflows. And if everything goes well, the cocoa syndicated loan will come in as well. So that certainly is going to show up our foreign reserves. And once that happens, it should strengthen the cedi for the rest of the year. But I agree with any analyst, and I believe Uncle Joe will be speaking to this, that long term, we have to begin to look at some structural reforms. We have to begin to look at how best we can boost local production, for example, so that most of the goods that we consume in this country are goods that are produced within.
Okay.
This is the surest way of strengthening the city, you know. So for the rest of the year, the measures that I've just disclosed are short-term, just to be able to keep the cedi strong against the dollar, against the pounds, and all the other major trading currencies.
All right, Dr. Abdul Ghani, I'll leave you, but make us a promise. Let's have you one of this in the course of the week, either Monday or Wednesday. Let's have Mrs. Joe Jackson. Let's all think through how we can come out of this, because it's a conversation that would need some time. So I'll let go of you so you can attend to the other assignments that you have. Let's talk after the program. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right,
so certainly from next week, I'll be in Accra.
Absolutely.
So we can have that deeper conversation.
That's great. And when Mr. Joe Jackson has time, you join us as well. So what do you make of this? I mean, what's your theory as to what's happening to the city?
I want to situate this a bit. So if you allow me,
sure,
I'll just go to the screen and I'll show you. It's the city in free fall, right? You notice I started from January 2022 because that's really the point where our problems started.
All right.
When we were, you see, first of all, you got to understand, from 2017 up until 2020, we seem to have a beautiful policy. What was that? We go to Eurobond and then we buy, what do you call it? We issue a paper and they give us money. That money comes essentially to shore up the value of the cedi. Those inflows are from outside. The nice part to this policy was that since we're not borrowing locally, our interest rates were low. So if you look at the indicative 180-day T-bill, it was sub 12%. Yeah. So, and that was when we were celebrating arresting the dollar.
Yeah.
There was one catch though. The foreign markets were watching us carefully to see what it will really take for us to service that debt. Not even what it would take to pay the principal, because we could always refinance the principal, but what it would take for us to service that debt. Unfortunately, we took our eye off that ball, and we watched the cost of debt service rise all the way to above 50% of all we earned.
Wow.
And that was when, at that point, the rating agencies downgraded us. Ghana became toxic, and we were shut out of the market. So let's start 2022. If you notice, 2022 January was still cool. Nothing had gone wrong. 6 cedis to $1. Wasn't very good, but
it's okay. It's manageable.
We're hanging in there. Then the trouble started. We moved, and listen, these are the rates, period end rates. But sometimes, remember that we went as far as 15 and came down. So we went to 8 in July 2022. We went to 9.76 in January 2023. July 2023, 11.38. January, 11.90. May, we hit 30.95. Now you notice that when you look at the height of these bars, you notice that this has taken a sharp jump. And that is why there is now worry in the market. But even worse, let's look at the last week. Just 1 week. Starting on May 11th and ending on the 17th of May, yesterday. That is when the trouble starts. You see, the honorable advisor from the Ministry of Finance talked about year-to-date 12%. It's not bad when you look at what happened the previous year. The problem, why people are shouting and declaring that there is something wrong, is that in 1 week we've suffered a 4.67% depreciation. If you extrapolate that to a whole month, then you see trouble is brewing. Trouble is brewing. And that's why there's so much screaming and shouting. Because this week alone, the effect is that, listen, every month for our energy, 400 million. We don't get that $400 million, not cedis.
Yeah.
We don't get that $400 million put in place. Start reading anything from doomsaw to queues for fuel, etc. So now, when you see this level of depreciation, then people start to get scared. Guta starts to get scared. And remember, this is Ghana. We import everything. Even, I like to give the example that even our vaunted jollof, for which we are fighting with Nigerians as to that our jollof is better. Let's look at it. The rice, imported. The tomatoes, imported. The onions, Burkina Faso. The chicken, I give you the pick from Australia or from Brazil or wherever you like. So you realize that we import everything. Drugs. Honorable is wearing a smock, and I thank him for wearing a smock.
Yeah,
the rest of us, we wear everything we wear, even when it's Ghanaian print,
this
it's
locally,
from China.
This is locally produced.
But you realize that this is why people are crying foul, and this is what scares us. So the first thing to ask ourselves is that, why has this thing jumped all of a sudden? Because why are things getting that bad? And that's where the problem lies. What's the real cause? Here's what I have to say. First of all, cocoa is a problem. See, every year, traditionally, before everything happened, cocoa is what traditionally Ghana uses to, as they say, chalk protect and chalk everything. This year, because of all our challenges, the cocoa syndicated loan was only around 800 and something million. Typically, it is twice that. We didn't buy the cocoa on time. The farmers are not bad people, but when there's cocoa in bag sitting there and cocoa board is not ready to buy, they will take the cocoa, cross the border, and send it to Côte d'Ivoire. So this year, cocoa receipts look, in fact, and it's tragic because this year, cocoa receipts have hit a record high in price. And the problem is that, first of all, we forward sold all our cocoa, so we are not getting the benefits of those prices. Then we didn't have enough cocoa going out. So part of it is people are looking at cocoa and saying, cocoa is not coming on. This thing is going to be a problem. And this, listen, you cannot write off sentiment. But the bigger problem is this. Over the last 2 years, and coming from this same 2022, we had inflation, prices, 50%. So now we are celebrating when our inflation drops to 20-something%. Right? What it does is that inflation debases your currency. The cost of prices. So what is happening is that all those, first of all, let's be clear. When you deficit finance the government to the tune of 55 billion, purportedly to save the country, maybe you have saved the country, but you have bigger woes ahead of you.
Right.
Some of the woes we have, we are now feeling it. The inflation that was created. Because inflation, see, let's not complicate this matter. Let's look at yam. Yam in the market. If today we all give our wives and other people who go to the market a lot more money to go and buy yam, the price of yam will what? Will go up.
Yes.
Economics 101, nothing sophisticated. So when there was a lot more money in the economy, chasing those few goods, we'll have inflation. Yeah. Inflation now debases and makes our currency depreciate. So what we are feeling now is the lag effect. Remember, the thing doesn't happen. It's not like you pump money today and it happens tomorrow.
It's not instant, yeah.
It's been, that effect is now kicking in. And remember, inflation has been so bad that prices have more than doubled in the same 2-year period. So that's where we sit.
That's what we say. Okay.
And then throw in the others. See, one of the things we all have to understand is this. One of the reasons why the Cedi has been fairly stable is that since the 18th of December 2022, we lifted our hands and said, we can't pay. So we haven't paid our foreign commercial debtors.
Right.
So part of the stability is that the government is not taking dollar to go and pay our FX commercial debtors, the Eurobond and co. Yeah. They're not servicing that debt. We've stopped. When you announce that you have an agreement, you need to conclude, it means what are you going to do? You're going to start paying. So all of a sudden, everybody looks at the Cedi available, the dollar available, and says, there's trouble ahead. So in the sense that there's sentiment, that sentiment means people are keeping their money
in their pocket.
Their dollar. They're not putting the dollar down. They're not investing because everybody knows that dollar is going to be harder to find.
Yeah.
In fact, you will find that when somebody wants to save, you see, another thing, when you have the kind of inflation we've had, people lose faith in the Cedi.
Yeah.
Because all that happens is that a Cedi today, you see, it's not magic. If you were paid 6,000 Cedis in January 2022, decent amount of money, you could step into town and do $1,000 worth of things.
Yeah.
Today, you can't even do $500 worth of things. Country that exporting. You see, all of us sitting here, including cameramen, the technicians, etc., everybody has suffered a halving of your purchasing power. Period.
That's it. Let me do this quickly. Charles, Kusiapia Kubi is with Guta. Charles, good morning. Good to have you.
Good morning, Moro, and good morning to you, our
Right.
special guest there. And
so how is this CD depreciation really affecting your businesses? And what do you think we can do to come out of it? I mean, you can do this in summary. I'll be very happy because time is not our best friend as we speak.
Okay, very well. Thank you once again. And for us as businesses and traders, the moment we talk about CD depreciation, we are talking about capital depreciation as well.
Right. So your point is CD depreciation is about capital depreciation. Help us understand that.
Dealing as the CD. All right. So if today I was supposed to buy $100,000, let's assume last year or any part of this year, I bought goods worth $100,000, and at that time, dollar was about 11.90. That would mean that I would need about 1.19 million Ghana cedis to do that. Today, if I have to do that, I will need about 1.5 million. That difference is a loss to my capital. That means that if I need to pay same $100,000, I need to go for either a facility from a bank, or better, I reduce the quantities of items I have to purchase. The moment your stock quantity start depleting, is a relationship that is also established with your capital strength. So for us as businesses, it's a big conversation when we're talking about forest lost and the city losing its strength. One other thing that is also does to us is that as business, probably when costs of doing business go high, you're supposed to pass it on to the consumer. But in a country where inflation is in the roofs and salaries are peak, they are static, it also means that their disposable income also will be affected. So their purchasing power will also be diminished, that they cannot pay if we decide to increase same cost to the product they have to be buying. This, of course, will have effects on our cash projections, because as businesses, we strive on turnovers. The more we're able to sell, the more we're able to get some cash in to meet our retiring debt to the banks. If purchasing powers, if disposable incomes have been affected, it also means that sales will be going down. And if sales are going down, it means that we might not be able to meet our debt obligations with the banks. And it becomes a worry that even when you have gotten credited supply and you have to pay them in dollars and the dollar is high, it becomes a much more health-breaking issue for us. So when this happens, when products and goods start going high, it affects inflation. And when inflation is being affected, Bank of Ghana, through its monetary policy, want to arrest inflation, and therefore he wants to increase policy rates. When you increase policy rates, it means that cost of borrowing also becomes high, and it adds on to the cost of doing business we are complaining.
Okay, Charles.
So
I get it, but Charles, do me this favor. I think that you need a bit more time to explain the issues much better. We're so sorry that we're really running out of time. So I'm going to make you a promise that Monday or Wednesday we would get in touch with you so that we can have you, hopefully, in the studio to tell us more about how the CD depreciation is affecting your business. Is that okay with you, sir?
Very well, very well.
Yes, but I'm happy that at least you're giving us some preliminary thoughts about how this is affecting your business. I want to thank you so very much for your time. Now, he's actually the head of Business and Economic Bureau of Guta. Alex, I don't know how you're going to do this in summary. What do we do?
Look, I'm going strictly political.
Okay.
The economy of Ghana is not run by Joe Jackson.
Right.
It's not run by you. It's run by a government we voted into power to run the economy. It is economic management. Every government meets problems. We had Dumso. The rest of the world didn't have Dumso when NDC was in power. We had inherited it over years of not addressing our power situation. We had to fix it. We didn't moan at A, B, C, D. We did what Ghana needed at the time. It cost us an election. Let us be clear.
It did.
It cost us an election to fix that. And nobody gave us credit at the time. We fixed it and left it. And another person comes to take over. And we are back with it. With a worse economic situation, with citing problems that affect the whole world. COVID was the whole world crisis. Russia and Ukraine is a whole world crisis. So every other country suffered it, not just Ghana. And you want me to give any credit to this government for this debacle of an economic situation? It is pure mismanagement. You hit the nail on the head. If you borrow without looking how you are going to pay it tomorrow, you will have a problem. If you go and promise everything in the world and you think you are going to do it, you can even see the lack of thought in planning. Who goes and starts 111 hospitals when the money for the 111 you have already sunk in would have 10, 15 standing by now?